And the question is, what do you find to be the most versatile herb in your practice and why? Yarrow. That was easy. Yarrow. I've been using Yarrow so much lately, and here's a few reasons why. Because it grows very, very abundantly in my garden, and it just kind of takes over a lot of areas. And so I am the type of gardener that I'm like, let them do their thing. I'm the kind of parent that's like, let them figure it out. It's okay. And I feel the same way with my garden too. I don't give it much discipline, much to the chagrin of my wife, who really wants to see things nice and pretty and tidy. And I'm like, Yarrow, it's okay. It's okay. It popped up over there. We're going to use it. And so I make a lot of medicine because it's really telling me to, basically. It's telling me to. And so that's one of the practical reasons why I use it a lot. And another practical reason why, and here's another thing too. I want to kind of correct my language a little bit and maybe offer this for some of the future questions and future Ask Herbalist things. That is, I'm trying to get away, and I have been for years, with thinking about herbs and uses. Now it's like a very simple semantic switch to say, what is this herb used for? What is this herb good for? Instead, let's speak about the virtues of these herbs. And the switch that happens, this semantic switch, it offers us an idea of not so much it's about commercialization of these things. It's about building a relationship with our natural world and viewing, all of God's creation as important, I wouldn't say entities, but important helpers, each with their own virtues that can offer us teaching, instead of I know what I need and I'm going to grab it and use it. An example that I always give is like when I'm building a relationship with, let's say, you, the viewer, and I say, what are you good for? What is your use? You know what I mean? It sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? It sounds kind of harsh. Like I have this great authority that I'm trying to figure out if you're good for something or if you're useful. And so that's why I'm kind of separating my answer in the practical, as in like there is an abundance of this plant and the virtues, as well as saying there are many things that this plant can teach me. And so this is one of the things that I'm trying to do with my language, and I offer that to you too, to do the same, not to think of plants as uses, but to think of them as their virtues. And what is a good plant for X disease? Instead, think of what companion would I call on in a case of this? In the same way that I'm like, I'm going to go to a movie. Which one of my friends? Oh, I'm definitely not going to bring that one friend of mine. I know they're just going to throw popcorn and stuff. It's going to be really embarrassing. And I'm not going to bring my other friend because that person would be offended by violence and stuff like that. And it's the kind of movie I want to see with just one type of friend. You know what I mean? So you start to think about certain situations and scenarios. And when you have that relationship, then boom, all of a sudden you can see your friend Yarrow when somebody is explaining something about a particular matter, about a condition that they have, and all of a sudden, I'm thinking about my friend Yarrow. And so one of the reasons why I also like to work with instead of use. I like to work with Yarrow as like my most versatile herb, is because to me it is the most versatile herb that there is. It's so great at so many things. I love it for its digestive ability, its ability to stimulate bile, its ability to work with the liver, to warm the stomach, for its ability, the astringent quality, to tighten and tone the mucosal tissues and the lining of the gut, for example, and like leaky gut. I love it for the way that Yarrow works on the blood, in particular the lymphatic system in the blood, the changing of the capillaries into the lymphatic system. It really likes to target the periphery. It likes to target the lower abdominal area. So I work with Yarrow in fertility, and I work with it for colon problems, and I work with it for fevers and all kinds of anything that where I feel like there's a blockage in the blood or there needs to be some movement. And it seems to be, in my opinion, really suitable for every body type. It's bitter, so it's cooling. So there's some people who are really cold that might not be suited for cooling plants, but it's also aromatic and quite warming at the same time. So it's cool. Its bitterness and its warmness kind of work together for somebody who might be too hot or too cold. It's stimulating in the way that it stimulates metabolic processes, but it doesn't have a stimulating effect so much on the mind or the nervous system. In fact, it's, in my opinion, it has a way of relaxing the nervous system due to its bitterness, its bitter alkaloids. I like the way that Yarrow works in a tincture. I like the way that it works in a tea. I like the way that it works in a salve. So not only is it the most versatile herb in my practice, I can put it into a whole bunch of different things. And that's something I'm going to cover in another question coming up here too. Achillea, the wounded warrior plant too. So here's another thing that I've been, that a lot of people have been asking me about and coming to me for help with lately, is something that I would say has to do with like an ancestral wound or something, a deeper type of trauma. And in this case, it's not so much like we're working through the blood or we're working through the liver. It's more of a working through consciousness, working through emotional connection, working through the subtle etheric layers. And Yarrow is so great at that. It's very, very protective. I also love, I hang Yarrow at the entrance to my shop upside down. So in order to come through the door of my shop, you have to pass beneath the Yarrow. And I call, and before I harvest it, I tell it, like, as it's growing, like, you're going to grow up to be the security system for my shops and also for my house and stuff like that. So make sure that you get like really good at repelling unwanted, negative, malefic energy. And so I think that herbs work really well when they have a goal, when they have a leader to tell them, this is what you're going to do. And they go do it. So there's been plenty of times when somebody comes into they open the door, and you could sense when somebody comes into a room that they don't have good intent. At least I can. I'm sensitive in that way. And I really, really, really try hard to maintain the psychic integrity of my spaces, including my shop. Like, I work very hard at that. So when something comes in that I can feel is like a disturbance in the force, right? I'm like, oh, they'll stop underneath the Yarrow, and then they'll just kind of take a look around, and then they're like, I'm out of here. I've seen that happen over and over. But sometimes I'm like, maybe they thought that they were going to like the massage place that's like next door, or the nail place that's next door. I don't know. But Yarrow works great for that. I love it for so many things. It's such a good friend. And I carry it in my first aid kit wherever I go somewhere where there isn't first aid, because I will call upon Yarrow and its virtues to stop bleeding and hopefully, save a life if it has to someday. It's done that. It has historical. It's definitely been used like that in history. So, Achillea millifolia, the 1,000-leafed botanical of Achilles, the warrior.